Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We'd like to begin. I'm Sheriff Kevin McConville. Seated next to me is the County Executive Kevin Byrne and the Commissioner of Mental Health Social Services, Mike Piazza. We're here today to tell you about our threat assessment management program that we've developed in collaboration with all our partners. In the immediate aftermath of the Buffalo Top shooting attack in May of 2022, Governor Hochul issued Executive Order 18, directing each county to develop plans to confront domestic terrorism. I'd like to take a moment and recognize the efforts of Captain Michael Knox, who developed a threat assessment policy, which became the basis of our countywide threat assessment management plan. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our County Executive, Kevin Byrne, Chairman of the Legislature, Paul Yankee, and Chairwoman of the Protective Services Committee, Ginny Nasarino, for their support and assistance in this program. And obviously, a special thank you to all our partners in law enforcement, mental health, social service professionals, houses of worship, business community, and every school in Putnam County, including BOCES, for their unwavering support and assistance in this program. As part of the executive order, grant funding was made available to all 57 counties and New York City to support the development of threat assessment and management teams, a key component in meeting requirements of domestic terrorism prevention plans. The executive order was signed to fight the troubling surge in domestic terrorism and violent extremism, frequently inspired by planning and posting on social media platforms and internet forums. Putnam County submitted its plan in December of 2022 and received approval in January 2023. The Putnam County Threat Assessment Management Team, or as we call it, PCTAM, is a multidisciplinary team that brings together law enforcement, social service, mental health professionals, school officials, and other community stakeholders to identify, assess, and manage threats of targeted violence. In short, threat assessment is the identification, evaluation, and intervention. Threat assessment requires a collaborative effort by all members of the team. Under Sheriff Linder has secured training for our school resource officers and our Bureau of Criminal Investigation members in comprehensive threat assessment management, including the sponsoring of key principles of behavioral threat assessment training, and in a few weeks, that training will take place. This training will further enhance the skills and abilities of our personnel to address these matters. PCTAM is focused on keeping Putnam County safe through community-based intervention approaches for threats or threatening behavior from an individual or group, a grievance-fueled violence, or online radicalization. Anyone who suspects or knows of an individual that is a threat or may be a threat can report the behavior using the PCTAM website, and it's simply pctam.net. We have it up here. We'll walk you through the use of it and how to complete it and fill it out. By bringing concerning behaviors to the attention of the PCTAM team through our online reporting forms, individuals skilled in targeted violence prevention will assess and manage the situation. When a person is planning a targeted act of violence, they usually exhibit pre-attack behaviors, many of which relate to mental health crisis or problematic interpersonal interactions, which can be resolved with intervention. Threat assessment is concerned with the prevention of violent behavior. Pre-attack behaviors and indicators are part of a well-documented phenomenon that occurs prior to an incident of targeted violence, known as the pathway to violence. This pathway has many subparts. And if we can intervene in any one of these parts, we'll be able to interrupt the pathway and prevent an act of violence from occurring and potentially save lives. The goal here is prevention. I want to take this opportunity also to recognize Commissioner Bob Lipton of the Bureau of Emergency Services. Commissioner Lipton and I worked together in the development and submission of this material to the Division of Criminal Justice Services in New York, where we received approval. And we've received numerous requests from law enforcement agencies throughout New York State for our PCTAM plan, and we're fulfilling those requests and providing assistance to other counties with that material. So thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate that. County Exec Byrne?
Thank you, Sheriff. I want to thank the Sheriff for giving that very thorough background and presentation on what is a very important topic for this county and the entire state and our country. While acts of violence are often a very uncomfortable topic for us to discuss, especially when you're thinking about it in the context of it affecting your own community, our community, we understand that there's a recent spike in terror attacks, both globally but also nationally when we talk about domestic terrorism and global terrorism. And that obviously is something that we're very mindful of as well here at home. The creation of the Putnam County Threat Assessment Management Team, as the Sheriff has discussed, will help to ensure that there is a pathway that will help defray violence from actually resulting in impacting our community. We want to very much try to prevent the incident before it happens. As county executive, my role is really one of oversight, ensuring that the right members of county government are on this team. Our sheriff, of course, is leading as one of our co-leads on the team. Has been instrumental in the TAM. As you mentioned, our Bureau of Emergency Services. There's a number of other personnel that are here in departments that are represented. Our District Attorney, Bob Tendy, our Department of Social Services, Mental Health Youth Bureau, Mike Piazza is here to my left, Probation, John Osterhout, and Putnam County, Northern Westchester, BOCES is extremely important because one of the topics we also talk about a lot is the safety and security of our schools, and having a strong partnership with our friends at BOCES, I think is extremely important. We also have a number of other members of the team that include officials from all school districts and various law enforcement agencies. One of the things I wanted to point out was, I think it was earlier this year, around March, we actually had our first TAM meeting in this room, in this building, with me as county executive. But as the sheriff outlined, it was the result of many discussions that predated my service as county executive. But that first meeting was really start of a lot of collaboration, and the creation of this website is a result of a lot of work from that group, and specifically the sheriff. Some alarming statistics that I wanted to just highlight as to why this is important. In the past 12 years, every time that there's been an attacker that targeted schools, they had exhibited warning signs beforehand. 81% of the time prior to an attack that involved a firearm in any of these venues, the attacker actually told someone. 70% of the time, a person who committed suicide or died of suicide told someone or gave warning indicators. Together with our law enforcement agencies, I encourage our community to report any concerning behaviors for anyone, such as threats, intent or escalating anger, interest in weapons, sadness, depression, or isolation, changes in behavior or appearance, interests in violence, or talk of being bullied. Your observations are important and could potentially stop an act of targeted violence. The TAM has a confidential reporting system, as the sheriff noted, PCTAM.net, remember it. That will prompt you to answer questions related to your concerns and observations. This reporting form can be found at PCTAM.net. It is important to note that while each report shall receive immediate attention, if you have information regarding an imminent threat to public safety, you should always call 911 immediately. PCTAM.net reporting form is to be used if you suspect or have information regarding a person planning to carry out an act of violence in the future. And in conclusion, I just want to say thank you again to all of our community partners. I mentioned a few of them already. I also see representatives from our Veteran Services Agency in Putnam County. They're also a key stakeholder. Carl Rohde and Art Hanley, our director and deputy director. There are many others that participate from both the state and federal level. and the collaboration is what makes it so effective. So thank you, Sheriff. With that, I'll turn it over to our Commissioner of Social Services, Mental Health and Youth Bureau, Michael Piazza.
Thank you, County Executive Byrne and Sheriff McConville. The vast majority of people with mental illness are not violent. They do not commit crimes. But a tiny minority of them do. As the County Executive pointed out in his statement, the acts of violence that we have been studying over the past 20 years since Columbine in 1994, there are clues that we can pick up of isolation, of people being bullied, of people being essentially alone by themselves, but there are clues that come out to the community that, or their neighbors or someone close to their family, that would indicate that something is wrong. The TAM codifies a protocol and a procedure for law enforcement, mental health, schools, all stakeholders, family members, that can, where a report can be made, we can calmly look at it, investigate it, and plan for interventions for the benefit of the person, the individual or individuals, and the community. So I'm very happy that the county has put such an effort, the sheriff and the county say put such an effort into this plan. And I also want to point out that Sarah Servadio from my office was really the one who did the work, not me, in terms of putting together the plan. I just want to be honest about that.
Honest, Mike.
That's it, and that's it.
So we're going to take a minute now, and we're going to walk you through the PCTAM.net. Captain Knox, will you perform that for us?
Good morning, everybody. You guys are worse than cops. This is just the basic fill in the blanks website. The only good thing about it is you don't have to put your credit card at the end of it. But if you want to, like the county exec said, if it's an imminent threat, 911. If it's something that you don't believe needs immediate attention, you can use this, and you simply click report a threat. It will give you it's questionnaires basically, but basic information on the person, what kind of behavior the person, and then you just click submit. We will get immediate notifications on that. We have a 24/7-hour police desk that will monitor anything incoming if it comes, and we will begin immediate action. Whoever wishes to remain anonymous will. If you wish to be contacted, there's a spot in there for that as well. That's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. Don't really have much else.
Yeah, if you take a minute and just walk through some of the questions we ask, and you'll understand it. The breadth and depth of the program. Have they threatened? Has a person of interest threatened others or stated their intention of conducting an act of violence? We allow you to freehand put some information in there if someone wants to get specific with the information. Is there information to corroborate or substantiate the concern? Again, if you hit yes, you'll have a fill-in box that you can add comments. Have they demonstrated behaviors, including direct or indirect threats, or movement from thought to action? Sometimes you'll hear that, you'll see that on social media. So it's critical that it gets reported to us. And is there information to suggest a person's capable of committing an act of violence, or possesses or has access to weapons, tactical or military training, or exhibits disturbing behavior? We've seen an increase in threats. Each threat is reviewed, assessed, and evaluated. Now, not all threats are dangerous. They're not all immediate that we have to jump on them. Obviously, a threat of violence we are gonna move very, very quickly. And once we receive this form, a lot of action takes place in the background, depending upon the information that we get. Our Bureau of Criminal Investigation leads on this, start contacting our SROs, working with BOCES and school officials and administrators to develop information. We then bring in social services, mental health, and the Youth Bureau personnel that have access to other individuals, psychologists, psychiatrists, to gain and gather more interest and evaluate and assess the information that we're getting. And it goes on. We involve the Department of Probation, the District Attorney's Office, other law enforcement agencies, depending upon where the individual lives, because we want to see how much contact or interaction the individual that we're looking at has had with law enforcement and what prior behaviors have been exhibited. We'll talk to houses of worship, we'll talk to the veterans agencies, because we want to know a complete and full background on the individual as we go through this process. So we've used it in the time that we've had it. Social Services, Mental Health, and Youth Bureau, BCI, and the schools, probation and district attorney, and even houses of worship. We've had meetings. We've implemented this. It's a confidential program. And the goal here is to prevent violence. And if possible, render treatment for the individual or individuals that have been identified. Are there any questions at this point?